Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Fenway Park.
Hello, welcome to Off the Monster. We are here again, Jeff and Jeremy, and doing things a little bit different this week, just because of the ceremony commemorating Jerry Remy, for his unfortunate passing, and we wanted to kind of shine some light on that, and bring forward what he meant to the Red Sox, but also what the Red Sox meant to him, and how that meant. And how he connected with the fans. He, as broadcasting goes, in my opinion, he's part of what is a dying breed, which is the ultimate homer for broadcasters. Because a lot of them, kind of bounce around now. So, Jeff, I will hand it off to you, and you can, give us your thoughts on Jerry Remy and how everything went this week with the ceremony, and what your thoughts are, or what your thoughts are of them.
Yeah, that's the one thing that probably went right this week is they did a phenomenal ceremony for the Rem Dog. I still think it would have been a class act for Xander to give up the number 2 and have him retire number 2. Maybe that's down the line. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Right. But I think they did a phenomenal job in recognizing his life. They showed the video tribute with him as a player for a few minutes. Then they went into his career as a broadcaster. And I'm just going to play a quick sound bite of one of my, by far, most favorite sounds or memories of Rem Dog and Don Orsillo. This was from about, I think, 20 years ago.
Did some investigative reporting on who and what was thrown at that gentleman, and that gentleman has been ejected, but it was an
for those who know, sight. And
I don't know why it was necessary. Now watch. I can't circle. I don't have my telestrator today, but here comes a pizza.
Oh, by far my favorite moment. Everybody knows the Rem Dog for here comes the pizza.
Oh yeah,
here the guy gets the pizza coming across. It's like, why do you throw away a perfectly good pizza? It only costs like $10 in Fenway Park.
Yes.
It made me think. I've been watching the Red Sox. It feels like my entire life. I have memories, 1986, or some of the bad memories. Also, some really good with Clemens. Bob Montgomery was one of the announcers back then. Rem Dog didn't get into I think the early 90s, I want to say.
Yep.
But that's almost 30 years of him being in that role. And as a fan, the game is boring. Of all 4 sports, let's just put it out there. Hockey is probably the most action-packed because very few whistles, very, very little downtime between plays. Like football is the second most, it's violent, but active sport. Basketball is constant up and down, but baseball is just a lot of just dead air. That Jerry Remy and, he had many partners over the years, but Don Orsillo was probably the best just because, to me, I'm going to show my age, I just felt like they were like Abbott and Costello up there. It was a comedy routine. If the game got away, whether it was good for the Red Sox or bad for the Red Sox, it was fun to listen to what story they were going to talk about, whether it was dry cleaning or their favorite rock bands or a flying piece of pizza.
Yeah, flying piece of pizza. It's funny you actually bring that up because the one that I love is and this happened years, I can't even remember when, but it was the guy battling the poncho. And the play-by-play that Remy gave with, this guy who just could not figure out how to put on this poncho in the rainstorm. And those are the kind of things that they did, though, is, even...
do you remember the one in right field? And it was about the time they had this thing when they built the new stands out there that they're having almost like dates, like wanting dates or something.
Yeah.
And this couple was having a date that was just going horribly wrong. And Remy was just relentless on this poor guy who was just, and you could tell he wanted to call 911 to get, out of this date. but that was the memories. I can't remember like a game that I could point to that I recall Jerry Remy. Yeah, I could hear in the back of my head Castiglione.
Yeah.
Game, the Red Sox win the pennant or the Red Sox win the World Series. I remember that voice in the back of my head from those big games, but I don't remember Remy. And that's not because he wasn't a great broadcaster. He was a great broadcaster because he took my mind away from the game, even when it was during those boring times.
Right. It'd be the boring time. Blowout, either way, if it was Red Sox blowing somebody out or vice versa, he just had a way to still make the game entertaining. And really kind of getting into, who he was. It's a nice story. He's a kid from Fall River, Massachusetts, which, blue collar area. And he was a kid who got to live out his dream. And, he not only played baseball, but he also played for his, hometown team, the Red Sox, after a stint with the Angels. He was a guy. He was, not an all-star, not a Hall of Famer, but he was still pretty good at what he did. And then to step into the broadcasting role the way he did, like you mentioned, it was the early 90s, but there was something about him that kind of brought it back to the old days where he was a homer, like Hawk Harrelson or Harry Carey or Vince Scully, those guys that were just whatever team they broadcast.
Any Yankees broadcaster.
Yeah, any Yankees broadcaster, whatever.
John Sterling.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Whatever team they were broadcasting, you could tell they were invested in the team. They loved the team. They wanted to see him win, and that. And Jerry Remy was that, but even more so because he, grew up rooting for them and then also playing for them, and being from the area. And you don't get that a lot. You'll have some guys who, they had, a playing career with the team and they step in and, they're a broadcaster and do very well, but it's just that other element of him, really living and breathing Massachusetts in a sense, and all of New England, just from where he was. So it is really entertaining, but I'll hand it back to you so you can talk about the Ford Frick Awards. And
so I was thinking back, as I said, my childhood, baseball of all the sports makes me think of my childhood. Football, basketball, hockey a little bit, because I played a lot of outdoor hockey, kind of shinny on the pond. I always used to use the other word. It's actually shin. You never went about the shin. But anyways, that's another story for another time. But I went back to my childhood and I thought, yes, we put the players in the Hall of Fame, right? And well-deserving, congratulations to Miggy. He got his 3,000th hit yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But they go in for that exact reason based on statistics. But I'd argue that it's guys like, you mentioned Bob Uecker, Vince Scully, Jack Buck, Harry Carey, those guys that build franchises and build the fan base. I don't think Red Sox Nation would be Red Sox Nation without the Rem Dog, because there was Rem Dog Nation,
That's true.
And maybe that had a little bit to do with his battle with cancer for multiple years.
Right.
But these commentators go way beyond, I think, what a player does. Maybe, there's the elite ones that do obviously a lot more, but these broadcasters, they carry a team, whether they're 50 and 112, a losing season and a winning season, they're carrying that team to keep the fans interested. So I thought, how many are in the Hall of Fame, which unfortunately, outside of the Ford Frick Award, which is given annually to a broadcaster, so there's the wing for broadcasters, a broadcaster wing, which is nice. It's not like they're getting their statue, their their bust.
Yeah, the bust
put into the Hall of Fame. But I feel like they almost should. If you're going to put them in the Hall of Fame, you're going to put them in the wing. Why not put their bust in there? Let them have their day in the sun and speak. Because I guarantee you get these guys to speak at the Hall of Fame ceremonies, and I think they do. But unfortunately, a lot of them, when they get elected in, passed away.
Right.
Some not so much, but it's only been around for about, we're up on, I think, the 45th year. It was 1978 was the first time. Mel Allen, very well deserved. Not a Yankees fan, obviously. And Red Barber. But Mel Allen, I used to love listening to Mel Allen.
Yeah.
Well, This Week in Baseball, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised. Vince Scully went in 1982.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only been retired for like 2 or 3 years now, and he's been in for a long time. So, with that being said, I think he's well deserved of the Ford Frick Award. And people say, well, it's because he passed away. Yeah, well, maybe. But the Red Sox Nation is what it is, I think, because of Jerry Remy.
You know what? And you bring up a good point, because we've talked about this before, right? With the Hall of Fame and what it is, and it's a museum, tells the story of baseball. Can you possibly tell the story of franchises without some broadcasters? The Dodgers. Could you tell the story of the Dodgers without Vince Scully? Nah, you can't. Can you tell the story of the Yankees, right? With Mel Allen. Can you tell the story of the Brewers without Bob Uecker? No, those guys you just can't, because they help bring it along. I didn't like him as a broadcaster, but Hawk Harrelson is one of those. Former Red Sox, but as a White Sox broadcaster, you can't tell the story of that franchise without him. He was good at it, and I think Remy's in there too. You can't tell the story of the Red Sox without including him, even just as a broadcaster. Take him out as a player. What did he do for a broadcaster? And he did. He brought in many. I don't want to say he single-handedly brought in fans, but he kept fans engaged. He really connected with them and made them stay. And that's huge, because baseball has a way, and it's starting to go away, and I hope it comes back somehow, some way. But it had a way of connecting with kids and radios and just listening to the game. They would hear these voices, and it just connected with them. And I think that's what's getting lost in this. Is there's many broadcasters out there who do a fine job, but they're not. They don't have that same element where they stay with the team long enough, or they know enough about the history.
Statistic heavy,
right?
That's my biggest beef with O'Brien.
Yes,
OB. He's just so statistic heavy, and he just begs for plays over and over. And that's why I love about what's coming into the booth now. I love Eckersley just because his mind, it's like Swiss cheese sometimes. Some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, that's good cheese. Oh, you gave him the bad cheese.
Right.
Time to party, baby. Time to party.
Actually,
I like
good one.
Euclid. I'll be honest with you. I mean, he didn't overdo it to me. Right. Where some of these guys who have been stepping in, Mazeroski, that's a catastrophe. Yeah. They should just stop right there and just not bring him back anymore.
Right. Joe Carter.
Who?
Joe Carter. Did you ever hear any of that? Oh, that was bad.
Joe Carter was.
Yeah, he did a little stint as a broadcaster, and if you look up YouTube or whatever, Joe Carter's a broadcaster.
Toronto.
If it's out there, it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, some of the guys that went on from, let's say, the Patriots, Bruschi was awful when he started.
Yeah.
He got better.
Yeah, he's purely in studio guy, but yeah.
Right. But not everybody is going to be a Sean McDonough. That's just it's an impossibility. Right. Not everybody's going to be a Don Orsillo.
Yeah.
You're either born with this career. Well, you get some of it over your life experience, but somebody's just born with that gift,
right? To
talk to people and be articulate, and some just you can't. So
no, you can't. It's the gift of gab, right?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'm curious. I'm hoping we can kind of get our comment section lit up, because I want to talk about things outside the Red Sox. Mostly because I think it's going to be a very long year. Just looking at what this team's putting out right now. We won't dive too much into that, but if there are other ideas or other comments or discussions people want to hear, feel free. We want to talk about movies, we want to talk about cars.
Yep.
We want to just no politics. Absolutely
Yeah,
no
exactly.
politics, no religion.
Yep.
And we're good.
Yep, we'll keep that out. Baseball, movies, other sports, what's going on in hockey, or, I'm not a big follower of basketball, but you know what? I can touch on
We
a few
do have to
things
do a
here and
hockey
there.
special later on this week, just because
I agree.
the playoffs are starting, and hey, the Celtics. How about the Celtics 3-0?
Yeah. Nobody wanted to face New Jersey. That was what I heard.
No, for Brooklyn, yeah.
Right. And
Irving kind of got what he deserved.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I did see that where, he flipped off the fans and then did his, little tears and that. And now your team is down 0-3. And, that's, good luck to you.
All right. I want to end on this. What is your worst fan base? It is the reason I'm asking this in Major League Baseball.
Oh, I think I know where you're going on this.
If you watched any of the Yankees Cleveland game yesterday, you might have a hint.
Yeah. Now, full transparency, right? If you were to take what happened with the Yankees out of it, I would have been the first to say the Yankee fan base is the absolute worst. Mm-hmm. And not to dive too much into it, but I've had some encounters with Yankee fans, and that one of which was during my bachelor party of all times. I had a Yankee fan approach me as I'm wearing a Red Sox cap and start talking to me. And of course, all of my buddies were like, "Hey, it's a bachelor party." And he didn't stop. And it's like, wow, that just tells you all you need to know about a Yankees fan. And so, yeah, when all that stuff happened with Cleveland, it was like, that's about right.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I looked at what happened out there, throwing all the garbage on the field, we can't call it kettle black. We've done that. It's happened to Fenway before.
Oh, yeah, it has.
I look at some of the comments from Facebook, and I'm like, especially where they go after their GM too. Yeah. And it sounds a lot like what we're doing with I Am Bloom. So my one is not the Yankees. I don't know who was it for you.
It was the Yankees.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah. Even before what happened with Cleveland, it was the Yankees.
And I have no problem with that. It could definitely be the Yankees. But I'm going with Atlanta, and it's not for the reason you think, as far as just throwing stuff on the field and cursing. They just don't show. I mean, they show up in the playoffs, but in Tampa Bay could fall into this too.
I was going to say, Tampa could fall into that too, because they don't show up.
Fantastic teams, and you just don't show up.
Right.
Like, how is that possible? And it's not like in Atlanta is a depressed town, or Tampa Bay, Florida is the depressed area where there's not a high income of money, and where people can't go to ball games. And I get it, the weather's a lot better down there. People have more things to do. The beach is nice, I hear. We don't have any of that in the Midwest. So
I'll throw it out to you.
I think, between Tampa Bay and Atlanta for me.
And Atlanta. So I'll throw another one out to you. And this actually would come as a shock, but I have to go with it. And it's, where we're from. This is where I'll go with it. I would actually go with Chicago White Sox fans. That fan base is, I don't want to say awful, but they are tough because, and I get it, you have the Cubs across town, so you're kind of the redheaded stepchild.
Kind of like the Mets and Yankees.
Right, but my gosh, if you claim yourself to be a White Sox fan and they run you through the gamut, you need to know stats and history and this and that. If not, you're not a real fan. Yeah. And it's like, whoa, that's harsh. Like, I'm all for it. The more the merrier. Okay, I don't care if somebody wants to be a fan of the Red Sox and they became a fan 5 years ago. Fine, I don't care. I mean, that doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about the history and all that with you if you're willing to listen. But, and even the fair weather crap, fine. So it gives my team more attention. That's great. Like, I want to see them more. And Chicago White Sox fans, again, you want to talk about attendance. That has been a huge problem for them for years, is attendance. They take so much pride in their team, but they don't show up. And then only when their team is in first place. That's when they'll start coming a little bit. But as soon as they're, out of it, they desert the ballpark. And it's like, well, you're going to, try to tell everybody they're not a good fan, but you don't go.
Right.
So, but yeah, that would be my two. But yeah, that was a good question though. And what happened in Cleveland, all fan bases. I mean, everywhere has done something like that.
That was ugly.
A little bit here and there. Yeah, but that was
beer
ugly.
cans at the guy.
Right.
Not sure what the excuse was.
No, there's no reason to do any of that. In any sport, why are you throwing stuff on the field? There's no rhyme or reason for it. It's you're looking to cause something that really shouldn't happen. And not only that, you get into the safety aspect of things and stuff. And when you get a big group of people like that together, and they're getting angry, it's just not good.
Mm-hmm. So, well, we'll leave it there. Right? Rest in peace, Jerry Remy. Fantastic family member of the Boston Red Sox. And please comment, like, share, let us know what you want us to talk about. And, maybe we'll have somebody else on. I know we've already had a couple people reach out and want to be part of this. And,
we got to do it.
Conversation, because we don't have enough conversation in the world. Get off social media, even though this is social media.
We're old and we're boring. So, we'll bring on a couple other people to kind of shake things up too, because you and I can go on for hours about Red Sox or Bruins.
I guarantee if you do bring somebody on, I'm going to go back in my day. All right, Jeremy. Well, this was a late edition this week, but we'll probably go back to our regular schedule, probably end of the week. The weather was just so nice out here.
It was. We finally got a taste of good weather. So yeah, we had to enjoy it.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend.
All right. Take care.
And we look forward to seeing you again.
All righty. Bye.